LPT, if you find a faster way to do something at your work, keep it a secret from your manager. Your work likely values high performers, not process. If you tell your boss about a faster way to do something, they will have you do it that way from now on, and you will likely be rewarded with. If you keep it a secret, you can use your added efficiency to magically perform better, and you will likely be rewarded with promotions, praise, and more free time. Corporations need to allow real bonuses. I saved my company over $4 million last year on one big issue. My bonus, $5,000. If I hadn't saved the $4 million, probably the same. My boss told me he wasn't allowed by executives to give out higher scores on reviews, so my bonus was limited. Why would I go above and beyond after that? I don't know about you, but if you're good at your job, you get to do other people's jobs. Worked for me, 110 to 120% rate, and a long lunch. Only works if the boss isn't around to see what you're doing though. Smile. True story. Joined a company a while back whose main systems for operation are over 20 years old and a PTA to do mass updates of anything in. When I was still new and I explained that I could do X much faster if they gave me SQL access, they were hesitant at first, but when they saw that I did X in seconds versus the hours or days it used to take them, guess who became the lucky guy that now hears give that problem to /u/yellow, but he doesn't, as he can probably script something through SQL for us. More often than someone who is not in IT should. Wow, you left off one of the most important ones. Build a list of improved efficiencies and use it when you apply for a promotion. I've automated my job 3 times and it just results in more work if anyone finds out. You're doing so well. Here's some extra work that your lazy coworker didn't feel like doing. Keep up the good work. I'll get a raise for this and you'll get a mention on Yammer. I had a part-time job that required data entry from a spreadsheet into a website. A little browser automation, and I'm making money while watching TV. Also automated the validation just to be sure. My boss thinks I'm the best. I love good process improvement/automation if it makes everyone's job easier. But if it only helps my little secret. I answer a lot of external emails. Sometimes over 150 a day, most of which are variations on the same 20 questions, or created a Google Doc with answers to those questions that I copy/paste and then adjust. People are amazed at how fast I get through the emails. I love my cause. This isn't the case for me. When I improve a process, everyone benefits, and my employer realizes that and shows her appreciation. I make more money, and work less than the entire staff because I've showed initiative and improved processes across the board. Most of my job consists of improving processes now, and let me tell you, it's very cushy. This doesn't even have to be in my experience. Most of the time, at least your direct manager isn't trying to you. If you're producing what's expected, they probably don't want the hassle of finding out something is better and whatever changes that might time. When I was young and naive, I came up with a much better way to do my job. I went to my bosses with a plan to try it out when there was no downside, no potential for anything to go wrong, a simple proof of concept. And I was told, no, we aren't going to try it, because we think it might work. And then we'll be expected to do everything better from now on. Counterpoint: get a job that isn't toxic, where people are rewarded for their hard work. LPT, if you need to keep improvements a secret from your supervisors, change jobs because your supervisors are people to fend for themselves. Yes, but also call out bad management and tell people that it shouldn't be up to them individually to address systematic work-related issues, please. And this is where I drop and I had one. No company cares about you. Ever. People might, but people can't do when the numbers get crunched. If you manage to do anything at work quicker or easier, keep stum and use it to your advantage. By all means, take on more work, oversee an extra project, or offer to train new talent. Whatever, but please stop giving away your tricks of the trade for free. Same here. Saved million. I got an attaboy in front of the department. Then my boss gave me a 4/5 rating because he believes a 5 would go to my head. That is not what our HR standards say, it's just his yearly bonuses and raises are tied directly to performance rating, so hour me out of 20% of my bonus. The reward for good work is more work. That's the free time mentioned. Don't tell anyone you're faster. Get it done early and then pretend you're still working. Yep. Happens to me at every job. Honestly, most bosses won't look beyond do you have an Excel sheet open. No one ever noticed that I've had the expenses from 2009 open for about 5 hours a day for 11 years before I left my last job. Helps when your boss doesn't understand what you do. And that's the leverage to use to get tons of money and more PTO. Ask for it. You literally saved them weeks of work, which is a lot of money. Your value to the company increased tenfold. I literally owe my job to automating a task. 21 years ago the company I work for bought another company and had to put all their parts into our system. I got hired as a temp to do that. It was a 3-month contract and my job was to open an Excel spreadsheet with the parts list, extract and copy each record into our mainframe. The first day I realized this was all incredibly inefficient and highly prone to errors. So, I created a macro to screen scrape the mainframe to get to the right spots and automatically enter in the data without any human interaction. I was able to finish this 3-month job in less than. They were so happy about this that they bought out my temp contract and hired me on as a full-time employee, even though they were in a hiring freeze at the time. I've been with the same company for over 20 years now. Had I just done the job as they wanted, I would have been let go after my contract expired. Don't use it for your promotion. Use it for interviews for a different job at a different company. You'll score a much better job role and a much higher pay raise. I've done this twice. Yeah, I agree and disagree with this post. Keep it from your manager. If there's someone who will overwork you and still not promote you, tell your manager you're bored and have capacity, and if they're responsive they will drag you with them to the moon. Source: manager when I was an analyst, now president and dragged up to SR management. Wouldn't say it happens every time, but if it's recognized, well then you have nowhere to go but up. I did the same at my old job. Automated a huge script that would often need to be used on a weekly basis. Took forever to build up front, but afterwards, all I needed to do was update a few lines and be done with it. Told them it would take at least a week for any change to the script. I automated hotel night audit at a hotel with GM. CEO of the franchise holder corp fired us both. And is still using my code, I know, because I hard-coded my email to send a report of how many rooms were touched, what the changes were, final look at balance reports and their corresponding data, etc. I get the emails every night. It's a wonder Unc didn't break it by now, because it's been over 10 guys. This guy's block happy for some didn't even have any contentious argument with this person. I'm absolutely agreed. PSST, you could be even faster if you set templates within your email client. Yay, as a manager, I would welcome this news and build them up. Lots of these posts are just the product of management. I was going to say, at my company process improvers are valued above high performers. The best way to get a good performance review is to document process improvement efforts you've made, especially if you can book the cost savings. Greater than my boss gave me a 4/5 rating because he believes a 5 would go to my received a 3/5 on my very first performance review at my first job. Out of reason? Boss literally said, if I rate you 5/5 this year, then you have nowhere to progress to for next year. By setting it at 3/5, I'm giving you room to improve. I stayed there about 9 months and moved on. Holy, Very similar saved $3 million after spending 2 weeks analyzing accrual balances that haven't been touched in many. Get a 4/5 in year-end review. No constructive feedback whatsoever, just "you're doing great. You should be." So I ask, well, what's the path look like for me to be promoted to my level +1? Well, we have this other person at your level who's been here for 3 years and we still haven't promoted. No actual answer. Just a phone calls from recruiters that had been sitting in my LinkedIn mailbox the same day. Now I'm on to round 2 for a promotion with a different company that'll pay 40 to 70% more. This reminds me of those teachers at school/uni who wouldn't give 100s because only Jesus is perfect. Absolutely infuriating when you're not in a religious school to begin with. More or less pay. This was endemic at my last job, along with being very specific about what your job duties were to play the extra fun game of "we can't give you a raise because your position is you hired me for X. But you have me doing Y and your job duties are so on your job then. Stops doing Y and fired for not doing Y and Z." Honestly, I hate pretend working more than actually working. At least the latter I feel productive instead of fretting over when I'll get found out doing all. A guy who worked for the city in my town retired recently. It turns out he had not done any worm in 20 years. He had slowly offloaded all his work. So he just went to THR office and sat for 8 hours with the door closed. Then went home. Similar here, I've had the same script open in Versus Code for years, with the most colorful syntax highlighting to make it look important. It's some script I wrote years ago to automate over half of my workday. People see it and assume I must know what I'm doing and that I'm busy. My job is now basically running that script in the morning and doing some health checks, then talking to people about other WFH is awesome. No way lol, that sounds hilarious. Story time? What did you do the other hours of the day besides the 2 to 3 you worked? Exactly. I'd never stick around a business where I wasn't allowed, or punished, to make process improvements. It's totally how I've gotten ahead over the years. This here. Add it to resume, and if you really like your current job, use the new job offer to gain leverage. If current employer can't/won't match or beat the offer, that's their loss. This is the key: if you have a good manager, while they may not be able to give you a raise, this usually requires multiple approvals of people who only know you as a number. They will remember you for your skills, and if they move up, you get moved up as well. To me, this scenario is a very good test of a manager. They see you have 4 hours of free time and jam 5 hours of work in, thinking you sped it up once. Do it again. They are not a manager you want to continue to work for. Get a manager who sees you have 4 free hours and give you 1 or 2 hours of work. They're likely good and will remember your skills. I imagine they mean they did some work to massively improve the efficiency of a fairly menial task that nobody had bothered to work on a computer, which involve reconciliation, checking/testing/copying/importing/exporting/reporting/updating are ripe for automating. Especially if they involve several different. Usual problem is that the person doing it doesn't have the skills or the time to do it. And the person managing them doesn't particularly care about the efficiency because it's being done. If that person does have the skills, then they'll need to find the time to do it alongside the actual work. When I was an intern at this place, I had to hand key in all this. It was just a bunch of numbers, but after each number entered, you had to hit like 20 keys before you could get to the next number entry. The thing was that it was always the same sequence between. I took like 10 minutes to create a macro-like script. I also was able to get the guy I was helping out get a digital version of the file. I originally had it print completed months of work in an afternoon. They didn't believe it, but verified the next, and I was told that I was no longer needed. If you want to learn quick and dirty programming, automate the boring stuff with Python is great and free on the buy the book if it ends up helping you out. My copy lives proudly on my no ones yet. This Just add a big block of text for template emails and common answers and insert them using quick parts. It's so easy. Most my coworkers never knew about this feature. I was the one giving out reviews to many employees. Higher management pushed back on every top score I ever gave. They designed the review and feedback system to make sure everyone got a sort of middle-of-the-range score, so everyone could get a sort of middling raise. Many review systems have dozens of review categories, many of which are only tangentially relevant to many jobs. You can get top scores in your main job functions, but if you get lower scores or could improve in enough of the fluff categories, like teamwork, helpfulness, spirit, corporate mission, leadership, advancement, learning, and so on, the average will be brought down enough that the formula always says medium raise.